Zane lived alone on Mars Outpost 9. He wasn't a soldier or a scientist, just a repair guy. He fixed mining drones, cleaned solar panels, and drank way too much black coffee. Life was quiet and boring. One evening, he sat in his small metal room, staring at a glowing ad on his hollow screen. Tired of being alone? Order your smart companion pet today. Fully trained, emotionally adaptive, delivery in under 48 hours. Zane laughed. Why not? He muttered, clicking, buy now. The price was low, too low, but he didn't care. He just wanted company, even if it was a dumb robot dog. 2 days later, a delivery shuttle dropped a large crate outside his bunker. It looked old, scratched, dented, and covered in space dust. The words Galaxy Pets Inc. were barely readable on the side. He dragged the box inside. Let's see what kind of toy I got. He pressed the unlock button. Click. The box made a soft hiss and then it moved. Zane froze. Something inside was breathing, not like a machine. Slow, soft breaths. Alive. Cautiously, he opened the lid. His eyes widened. Inside was a small alien girl, curled up like a scared animal. Her skin was pale blue and her eyes glowed softly in the dim light. A thin collar around her neck blinked with tiny red lights. Her arms were wrapped around her knees, and she was shaking. Zane took a step back. What the hell? She looked up at him, terrified, and tried to speak, but only a soft clicking sound came out. He checked the crate's label again. It clearly said Smart Companion Pet, Model XP99, fully trained. This isn't a robot, Zane whispered. This is a child. The alien girl tried to crawl out but stumbled, too weak to stand. Zane reached forward instinctively to help her, and she flinched like he might hit her. His heart twisted. I'm not gonna hurt you, he said softly. She didn't understand the words, but she stared at his face, studying his expression. Slowly, she stopped shaking. Zane grabbed a blanket and gently wrapped it around her. Her skin was cold, ice cold. He pulled her close to the heater in the corner. She didn't resist. For a moment, there was silence. Then, she reached out and touched his hand. Zane didn't move. She traced his fingers with hers, slowly, carefully, like she had never seen a human before. Or maybe, she didn't know what she was herself. He turned the collar around her neck. It had tiny writing in alien code. He used his repair scanner to translate. Property of Galaxy Pets Inc. Model, unknown. Behavior level, adaptive. Status, experimental. Experimental? He stood up quickly and checked the crate for more info. There was a small data chip hidden in the corner. He plugged it into his console. A cold robotic voice spoke. Unit XP99. Language database incomplete. Emotional bonding recommended. Physical contact acceptable. Warning, do not remove collar. Monitor regularly. Zane stared at the girl. She wasn't just smart, she was alive, and someone had shipped her like a product. He walked back to her. Can you understand me? She tilted her head. Do you have a name? He asked. She blinked slowly, then pointed at herself and said one word, Zuri. It sounded broken, like she wasn't sure. But it was something. Zuri, Zane repeated. She smiled, just a little. That night, Zane didn't sleep. He gave her warm soup, not sure if she'd eat it. She sniffed it, tasted it, and then carefully drank the whole bowl. She copied everything he did, drinking when he drank, blinking when he blinked, even trying to yawn when he did. It was like she was learning. She curled up in a blanket on the floor, eyes watching him until she finally fell asleep. Zane stared at the ceiling. This isn't what I signed up for, he whispered. But deep down, he knew the truth. That girl, Zuri, was in trouble. And now, she was his responsibility. Zane didn't sleep much that night. He kept glancing at the floor where Zuri lay curled in the blanket like a small animal. Her breathing was steady now, but even in sleep, she looked alert, like a creature used to danger. He made a decision. He wasn't going to treat her like a pet. Not even like a guest. She was someone, not something. The next morning, Zane made breakfast. Just eggs and protein paste, the kind humans on Mars always ate. He placed a bowl in front of her. Zuri looked at it and hissed. Actually hissed like a cat. She bared small sharp teeth and pushed the bowl away. "All right," Zane muttered. "Not a fan of eggs." Noted. He tried a different dish, then another, then another. Nothing worked. She sniffed them, all then backed away, eyes wary. "Okay," Zane said. "So, what do you eat?" That's when she walked over to the wall and started licking the condensation dripping from a broken pipe. Wait, no, no, no!" Zane rushed forward. Zuri jumped back, her eyes wide. He held up his hands. "Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you." She stared at him, then pointed at the pipe. "Water," she whispered. Zane blinked. Her voice was still rough, but clearer than before. "You're learning fast," he whispered. But she didn't smile. She pointed to her belly, then made a soft whimpering sound. Was she crying? Zane leaned down. "Hey, it's okay. We'll figure it out." She wiped her eyes clumsily. The tears weren't water. They shimmered faintly, like liquid crystal. Zane scanned one of her tears with his tool. "Warning. Bioliquid contains unknown protein signatures. Subject may be biologically unique." "Great," he muttered. "Even your tears are alien tech." He sat down beside her. "Zuri, do you remember where you came from?" She was quiet. Then, she picked up a metal plate and started drawing with her finger. Her touch left faint glowing lines. A planet. A ship. A cage. Then she drew a stick figure. It had chains. She looked at Zane and whispered one word. "Captured." Zane's stomach sank. She hadn't been sold. She'd been stolen. He looked at her collar again. It wasn't just a tracker. It was a shackle. "I'm going to help you," he said softly. "You're safe here now." But even as he said it, his console beeped. Incoming signal detected. Zane ran to the screen. A message blinked in red. "Notice. Your Galaxy Pets package has not registered feeding or voice command protocols. Please report any malfunctions." Stared at the screen. They were watching. "Zuri," he said urgently. "We need to take off that collar." She backed away fast, shaking her head. "Pain. No." Zane stopped. "It hurts if someone removes it." She nodded slowly. Then whispered again. "Trap." Zane clenched his fists. They had put a pain trigger in her collar, like some sick shock device. He had to get it off, but without hurting her. He took out his toolkit and scanned the collar more deeply. Layers of alien encryption. Defense layers. Biological feedback circuits. This wasn't a pet collar, it was a slave collar. Zane sat back, staring at the girl, no, the child, in front of him. This was bigger than he thought, and someone was going to come looking for her. The next 3 days were strange. Zuri didn't speak much, but she stayed close to Zane. She followed him around the outpost, watching him work. When he fixed drones or cleaned tools, she mimicked him with perfect accuracy, down to every tiny movement. She even began to laugh sometimes, but only when no machines were near. Zane noticed something odd. Whenever he brought his comms tablet close to Zuri, it glitched. The screen would flicker, freeze, or restart on its own. At first he thought it was just dust or static interference. Then one night he couldn't sleep. He walked into the storage room and froze. Zuri was standing in the dark, facing a window, her collar blinking, red then green, then blue, in a slow, repeating rhythm. Not random, patterned. She was unaware he was watching. The blinking light pulsed again. Zane quickly grabbed his scanner and pointed it at the collar. A message popped up. Outbound signal detected. Encrypted transmission in progress. Contacting external receiver. Zane's chest tightened. The collar was sending data something was listening, and Zuri didn't even know. He stepped closer and whispered, "Zuri?" She jumped and spun around, eyes wide, as if waking from sleep. "What are you doing?" he asked. She looked confused. "Nothing." Zane didn't believe her, not because she was lying, but because even she didn't understand what was happening. The collar was doing it on its own. He gently held her shoulder. "We need to remove that thing before it tells the wrong people where you are." Zuri touched her collar, fear flashing across her face. "Pain," she said again. "Big pain." "I'll be careful," Zane promised. He worked for hours in his workshop, using old mining tech, alien tool fragments, and a drone's disabled shock absorber. He built a dampener, a ring that would block signal output without triggering the collar's defense mode. He held it up. "If this works, it won't remove the collar, but it'll silence it." Zuri looked at the device. "Boom?" He smiled a little. "No boom, just quiet." She let him place it around the collar. There was a tense pause. Then the blinking, light stopped. Dead silence. Zuri flinched, waiting for pain. None came. She looked up at him slowly. "No hurt?" Zane grinned. "No hurt." Then something strange happened. Zuri sat down on the floor, closed her eyes, and began humming. It was a low melodic sound, soft and almost sad, but somehow peaceful. Then she began to glow, just faintly, like light under her skin. Zane's heart skipped. This wasn't technology. This was power, alien power, as if the collar had been suppressing it the whole time. "Zuri, what are you?" he whispered. She opened her eyes, and for the first time, they glowed gold instead of blue. "I don't know," she said. But before Zane could ask more, alarms blared across Outpost 9 incoming ships. The comm screen blinked, with a message: "Unauthorized beacon signal detected in your area. Stand by for inspection." Zane cursed. The collar had sent a signal before he blocked it. Now they were coming. And this time they might not just want Zuri back, they might want Zane dead too. Zane knew time was running out. The warning on the screen was clear. Outsiders would arrive soon. Not just to ask questions, but to take Zuri away. Maybe even worse. He looked at the glowing girl sitting quietly on the floor. Her collar was silent now, but the danger wasn't gone. "We need to hide," he said firmly. Zuri blinked, then nodded. She stood and followed him without a word. Zane led her to an old mining tunnel, long forgotten by everyone. The entrance was hidden behind piles of rusted metal and broken drones. Inside, the air was cold and stale, but safe. He showed her the dim light controls. "If they come, we turn off the lights. Stay very quiet." Zuri's eyes shone in the dark. She touched her collar nervously. Zane knelt beside her. "I will protect you, but you have to help me too." She looked up, curious. "I need you to learn to hide. To be invisible." Zuri frowned. "Invisible? How?" Zane smiled. "Not like magic, but like when you don't move, don't make noise, and don't show yourself." He taught her to breathe slowly, to listen for footsteps, and how to stay calm, even when scared. Days passed in the cold tunnels. Zuri learned quickly. She became silent as a shadow, still as a stone. One night, while Zane was fixing a broken light, she spotted something strange, a faint red glow through the tunnel wall. She pulled Zane quietly. Together they found a hidden panel. Zane pushed it open. Inside was a small room filled with strange alien devices and holograms. Zuri's face lit up. "This is my people's technology," she whispered. Zane examined the holograms. They showed star maps, ships, and faces of aliens Zuri recognized. Suddenly, Zuri touched one hologram. A soft alarm sounded. Red lights flashed. Someone had triggered a silent alert. Zane grabbed her hand. "We have to move, now." They fled deeper into the tunnels. But Zane knew this was only the beginning. The hunters were closer than ever. The day was gray and cold. Outside the outpost, the sky was filled with heavy clouds. Zane and Zuri stayed hidden in the dark tunnels beneath Mars Outpost 9. But danger was closer than ever. Suddenly, loud engines roared above ground. Zane's heart pounded. He peeked through a crack in the tunnel wall. 2 large ships hovered, their lights scanning the rocky landscape. Zane knew they were looking for Zuri. Footsteps echoed. Heavy boots stomped near the tunnel entrance. "Stay behind." "Me," Zane whispered, pulling Zuri close. The tunnel's silence was broken by voices, deep and hard, speaking a language Zane didn't understand, but the tone was cold, cruel. "We know she's here," one voice said. "Don't let her escape." Zane swallowed his fear. He wasn't a soldier, but he wasn't going to let anyone take Zuri. He moved silently, guiding Zuri deeper into the tunnels. But Zuri stopped suddenly. Her eyes glowed bright gold. She whispered, "They are not just hunters. They are killers." Zane's breath caught. Suddenly, a burst of light filled the tunnel. The hunters had found them. Zane grabbed a broken pipe from the ground and held it like a weapon. The first mercenary stepped into the tunnel, scanning with a glowing device. Zane's mind raced. He needed a plan. Zuri's small hand touched his arm. Then she raised her own hand. A wave of energy pulsed through the tunnel. The mercenary was thrown back, crashing against the wall. Zane stared in shock. Zuri was fighting back. More footsteps approached. Zane pulled her along, running through narrow paths he barely knew. She whispered, "We must reach the old control room. There is a secret." They ran. Behind them, the hunters shouted and fired strange weapons that made sparks fly on the tunnel walls. Zane's lungs burned. His mind screamed to keep going. At last they reached a heavy metal door, rusted but strong. Zane forced it open. Inside was darkness and hope. A control panel flickered weakly. Zuri moved to it, touching the buttons with trembling fingers. Suddenly holograms lit up, showing a map of the stars and a glowing point far away. "This is a signal," Zuri said. "A call for help." Zane nodded. They were not alone, but the hunters would not stop. Zane looked at Zuri. "We fight. Together." The cold hit Zane like a slap when he stepped out of the tunnel. The Mars sun was gone, hidden behind thick, dark clouds. Outside, the ice waste stretched for miles, frozen deserts of snow and sharp ice crystals that could cut through metal. Zane pulled his jacket tighter around Zuri. Her small body trembled, not from cold, but from fear. "We have to cross the ice wastes," Zane said. "It's the only way to lose them." Zuri looked up at him, her golden eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. She nodded. Zane knew it wouldn't be easy. The ice wastes were dangerous for any human. For an alien girl, far from home, it was even worse. They moved carefully. Zane's boots crunched on the frozen ground. Zuri followed silently, watching every step. Suddenly, the wind picked up. Sharp and cold, it cut through their clothes like knives. Zuri's skin started to glow brighter. Zane looked at her in surprise. "Your power," he said. "You're stronger here." She didn't answer. Instead, she reached out and touched the ice. The frozen crystals pulsed and shifted under her fingers. Then she closed her eyes and whispered strange words, words Zane had never heard. The ice began to move. Slowly, a path opened before them, like a tunnel made of blue light. Zane gasped. "This is your gift," he said. "You can shape the ice." Zuri smiled faintly for the first time, but their escape wasn't safe yet. Far behind them, the hunters' ships landed on the ice wastes. They sent out drones that hovered and scanned. Zane grabbed Zuri's hand. "We have to move faster." They ran through the glowing ice tunnel. The wind howled around them, but the path stayed clear. Suddenly, the ice cracked loudly. A huge crevasse opened beneath their feet. Zane jumped back just in time. Zuri hesitated, then used her hands to freeze. "A bridge of ice across the gap. Quick!" Zane shouted. They crossed, hearts pounding. After hours of travel, they reached an ancient alien ruin buried in the ice, a place Zuri recognized. She whispered, "Home?" Zane smiled tiredly. Maybe. But even here, they were not safe. The HFY hunters were closing in, and Zane knew the hardest fight was yet to come. The ancient ruin was cold and silent. Broken machines and glowing symbols covered the walls. Zane and Zuri stepped inside carefully. The air smelled like old metal and something forgotten. Zuri's eyes glowed brighter as she moved forward. She touched a large symbol on the wall. It shined with golden light. Suddenly, a hologram appeared, a tall alien figure wearing royal clothes. The voice spoke in a strange language, but Zane's scanner translated it. "I am Queen Lariah, last, ruler of the Zilari tribe. Our world was destroyed, our children taken." Zuri looked at Zane with tears in her glowing eyes. "I am her daughter." Zane's heart ached. "You were stolen, sold as a pet to hide you from those who killed your family." The hologram continued. Zane looked at the collar around Zuri's neck. It wasn't just a tracker or weapon. It was a chain, a prison. "But you are more than that," the Queen's voice said. "You carry the power to bring back hope, to fight." Zuri touched the collar. It began to crack and glow. Zane grabbed a tool and carefully removed it. For the first time, Zuri was free. Her skin shimmered and changed, growing stronger, brighter. Zane smiled. "You don't have to hide anymore." Zuri looked at him. "Together, we will bring them back." Outside, the hunters' ships landed nearby. Zane stood in front of Zuri, ready to protect her. But this time, she was no longer a scared child. She was a warrior, the last hope of her people. And Zane knew their fight had only just begun.